Alright, so I'm here to talk about incense today, okay? So I kind of want to just, give everybody the understanding of why you are supposed to use them or why you can use them. Like, what's the point of it, Because I feel like a lot of people, especially in the spiritual community, especially if you're into like, Wicca or witchcraft or working with the elements, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people don't understand why they're supposed to be doing these things or what is the magic behind it. And if you don't really know the magic behind it, you don't really know what you're doing. And then you just don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to kind of give my opinion and facts about incense and how it even affects you as a human, spiritually and physically. A little bit of history behind how it even all began with my notebook here. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. So the history behind incense, basically from what I was able to gather on the internet, the furthest tracings of incense is found in Egypt, within the tombs or the places where they would do ceremonies, and a lot of burial sites. So a lot of traces of incense remnants, especially frankincense and myrrh, those smells and traces and things like that are definitely found all throughout Egyptian historical sites. Of course, you also find these types of things within India and other southern parts of Asia. Like I said, the most common scents that are as far back as they can find now are frankincense and myrrh, okay? And those two combinations of scents are used so much, especially when it comes to traditional hoodoo. It's found even in the Bible, I believe. A lot of old type of magic, if you study magic, a lot of that is involved. Even in Wicca, I want to say those two scents are definitely all up and through, okay? So that has been something that has been very steady. Now that particular smell is an acquired smell, I would say, but if you want something that is basically just historically stable and has been a part of magic and manipulating nature to bend to your will, that is definitely one way to go. If you're looking for something that's safe to use, especially if you're just trying to do something just to protect the home or to cleanse energy or to balance out energy, frankincense and myrrh is the way to go. So it's believed that incense were used to clear negative spirits, or they were used as offerings to deities and or God. In ancient China, they have buildings where it was said that they literally built those buildings just to burn incense. So I'm sure you guys have seen like within certain movies and things where they'll have like these little pendulum looking things, and within them it'll be like little air coming out. So those are the type of things that incense were used in. The air element is what incense really represents, but it also has a lot to do with earth and fire, and we'll get to that in just a second. So there's different types of incense, okay? So you have the sticks, you have cones, you have powder, you have aroma diffusers. You can even use a wax warmer nowadays. I have one back here. And then there's also spray versions of it as well. Okay, so I don't have all of them here, but let's see. For example, I'll probably insert like other things here. So one way that a lot of people don't realize, you can use things like bay leaves as an incense. Now this is more of a property thing. Like you use this for a specific type of rituals. You can do that. Especially if you don't have anything else, you use what you got, at least in my tradition of magic. Now these are all different like wax warmers. So for example, patchouli. Now patchouli, if you know anything about magic, patchouli is a very strong smell, okay? It's very strong. So it's not something that you just want to just have on all the time. I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to smell like no damn patchouli, okay? So it's not a terrible smell. It's a lot. It's very overwhelming, and it's very like, especially if you know what magic is and you know like how to, your mojo bags and things like that. If you know a certain scent, when you smell it, it's like it's no point even doing the damn magic behind the scenes, because if you walk around somebody who does it, you like, damn, like who you trying to attract? You know what I'm saying? Like, or ward off for that matter. So anyways, there's patchouli scented wax cubes that you can get. Now people have different opinions on stuff like this. I'm not a hard person to please, so I like stuff like this because I feel like I can still get that element if I'm doing a spell or something without having to put it on myself, honey, because oh my gosh. But it actually smells a lot better in a wax form, okay? There's also like eucalyptus and sea salt. So if you do a lot of sea magic, shout out salt magic, this is a good way to do this as well. Now the traditional forms are the cones, okay? Now the cones, I want to say that you want to make sure when you're using these, you have a nice area, okay? Because these things will really truly, like, I mean, you'll be trying to get that smell out for a long time. Now granted, there are beautiful scents, okay? Not all incense are made the same, but there are certain incense where I only use them because of the properties of the smell. I'm not using them because it smells good, okay? It's not an air freshener by any means, okay? So depending on that, I'm sure if you do magical things, you know what I'm talking about. Like, everything in magic does not always smell the best because it's a lot of herbal things, but if you understand the properties behind it, all that goes out the window, okay? And then I think I have the sticks. Yeah, I have the sticks here. Now how you pick the smells, that's a whole nother video that I could probably go into. Okay, so these are like the ones that you're probably used to seeing, yeah? So these are ooh, it's so strong. Okay, so these are basically just the cone situation, but like stretched out and put onto a burning stick. And usually the sticks are bamboo or, you know, some type of wood, honey, I don't know. So yeah, these, you also want to make sure you have a lot of space. I usually with these particular ones where you where it's like a stick, I tend to just light it and my son kind of walk around the house just to kind of get it all throughout the house, and then I put it out right afterwards just because it's a lot. So I usually do that after I cleanse my home physically, and then I do like a little spiritual situation afterwards, okay? Now if you want to know about what actual scents like sage and stuff, like what do you actually use them for, and not just what people on the internet are just like making up. If you want to know the actual reasons to use things and what you shouldn't use and what you should use, what is strong enough to use or whatever, make sure you hit the like button so I can make a part 2 of this video. So let's talk about the esoteric connection with all of this. Like, what is the real meaning? Why do we use incense? What's the point? Tell me why I should use incense, okay? So the incense itself is, when it's lit, is the air element. The incense itself, the actual tangible incense, is earth. Okay, now when you light that, what you used to light that was fire. So that's earth, fire, and then when you light it and what's released is the air element. Well, the reason why all of that is important is because when you're using the air element, it's stimulating the mind. Okay, it is representation of the mind, your thoughts, your flow of thoughts. Also, it deals with focus and frequency, of zoning into a certain frequency, because wherever your mind is at, that's usually what you're going to be up to. That's what you do. Your mind kind of dictates what you do physically. The reason why the flame is so important when you're dealing with the incense, the reason why it doesn't even stay on the whole time, one, because it's just not how it works, but two, esoterically speaking, when you light a flame, that's like when you ignite a thought pattern, or you start a thinking process, or you start a way of thinking. So it's the ignition of the mind's journey, whatever scent is being used. So why it's important to know the scent is because you need to know what properties you are focusing on. For example, I have dragon's blood here. Not actual dragon's blood, it's just the name of the scent, honey, okay? Dragon's blood. Okay, it's in pretty much powder form. It can be crunched up a little bit more. But I use this. Now this can be used for different reasons. A lot of people use it for protection. My protection happens to come through my ancestors, and it happens to come from my spiritual team. So I find that when I use that particular scent, I'm able to tune in to what my spiritual team wants me to see. And it usually happens through animals and tuning into nature and seeing little animals here and there and animal totems. So it taps me into my indigenous part of my ancestors, okay? So with that being said, you have to know what the properties are in general and then how it affects you, okay? So I say that to say, when I ignite dragon's blood or whatever, my focus is going to zone in on my indigenous part of my ancestral realm, and it's going to zoom me into nature. So it's going to literally show me, like, my messages will come through nature. It'll come through a certain animal that I see. It'll come through a certain type of bird or animal totem or a bird or whatever that I saw in my dream previous, so I can connect the dots on the thoughts that I'm already having about certain things that I may have questions on. So it may be a little bit, okay, I may be losing some of y'all, but if you're tapped in, you know what I'm talking about, okay? So that's why it's important to know the sense, because if you're doing something that is going to ward off evil, but you're trying to invite something in, so let's say you light something that is to protect your home, or get rid of something. Let's say it's sulfur. I don't know why you'd be doing that. Maybe you're trying to make a hot foot powder or something like that to ward off evil, and then you invite somebody over that you like. If you were to light that, which I would not advise you to do, I'm just using an example, a dramatic one. If you were to light that type of incense in your home and you're trying to invite someone over that you want to be in your life, honey, that's not gonna work out. And you're gonna be looking at everything that you don't like about that person. That's gonna be the only thing that you're paying attention to. Why? Because you ignited a thought pattern to focus on the frequency of what you don't like about that person, because you're using the scent of something that is to ward off, to push away, right? So this is why it's important to really know the sense of what, or the properties rather, of the sense that you are utilizing within your magic. So the difference between using a flame and not using a flame, because some sense that there's some type of incense where you can smell it without igniting it, which when you ignite it, the active element of air starts. But so without the fire, there is no air coming from it, okay? So then you're just left with earth. So if you just want a stable focal point, and if you just want to, it's called aromatherapy, and you just want to smell something to kind of activate your mind without triggering the active thought process of getting new thoughts and things like that. If you just want to focus on one thing, that's where aromatherapy comes in, okay? So this is more about for someone who wants an idle mind. So for some people, this could be, especially if it's incorporated with water. So let's say you have one of those steamers or a air diffuser or whatever. When you turn that on and you're smelling it, but there's no heat, or there's no, technically there is steam, but you know, let's just keep it simple. If you have something like that, when you incorporate water with it, it's going to invoke your emotions. So usually a lot of people use this when they go to sleep, right? Or they use it whenever they're just chilling, because you want the vibes to be right. So if you just want an idle, slow moving type of energy in your atmosphere, and you want it to be chill, relaxed, and you don't want to necessarily focus on anything, then you don't use any flame. If you want to focus on something and have an active brainstorming situation happening, that's what you do with, that's how you meditate with scents. Now, if you just want something where you just want to bring in, let's see, if you have a eucalyptus or something like that, if you have that scent, even if you bathe with that scent or whatever like that, that energy itself is going to invoke a balanced energy. Therefore, you're not going to be necessarily thinking about it. You're just going to be feeling a different effect in the atmosphere that you are in, whether it's your room, whether it's just yourself, whether it's your whole home. Okay, so you have to be aware of what these scents are for, so that you know how to use them and how hard to go with them, whether you want to ignite it, or if you want to diffuse it within your air in a really big atmosphere. Whatever it is, you have to know what you're doing. Yes, the only way to truly know that is by, you know, working with the things and doing your own research, because even though there is textbook definitions of things, and even scientific proof of how it affects you as a human, the way that you will connect with your source and your deities and things like that is based off of how you relate to that scent. Okay, so here are some little tidbits, okay, because I know some of y'all are obsessed with sage. Listen, sage can do a lot, but it doesn't do all, okay? It's literally like not as strong as everyone thinks it is. I think it's a very, I don't want to say it's not strong, okay? It's an herbal agent, so we can work with it, yes? But the problem is people assign sage to do things that sage is not, that's not in his job description. You got sage going out to war, and sage is just supposed to be dusting off furniture in your home. You understand? So there's levels to it, and I think, my personal opinion, sage is only needed just to uplift a room, just kind of like air freshener type of thing. You just do it because you just want it to kind of add an ambiance or a scent, if you like the scent, to your atmosphere, to your frequency. So for example, for me, if it's a sage situation, I'm not going to use it unless I've done a deep spiritual cleanse on my home, even a physical cleanse on my home, and then I'm going to ignite the sage. The only reason I do that is because sage is not supposed to work that hard. So that means I've done other things with other herbal agents or other magical, you know, tools. I've done my own cleansings with things within myself as well, and then I use that just as a little, just, you know, the frosting on the cake. It's just something just to pizzazz on it, really. And it's just to balance out what you have already restored. Now, if you have negative motherfuckers in your house all the time, if you are not spiritually cleansed, if you are not in tune, and you just lighten some sage, that's all you doing is lighting some sage, honey. You are not doing a damn thing for your house, because sage is not going to work like that, honey. Sage is a beautiful girl, but she doesn't have to work that hard because she's beautiful. Everybody likes sage, right? So sage doesn't have to work hard, okay? So you need something more heavy duty is all I'm saying. So I don't know who the hell came up with that whole you can use sage for this. You can, but you ain't gonna get shit out of it, okay? Now, yeah, that's it. I think that's all I need to say. If you have any questions on incense, aromatherapy, certain herbal agents that you want to understand how they work, the spirit of certain agents within our nature and things like that, if you want to know about animal totems and signs from animals and symbolization, all of that stuff, like, listen, I'm really good at all of that stuff. I really understand it and I work with it quite heavily. So if you have any thing that you want me to focus on, make sure you subscribe to the channel and then comment it down below and then like this video so that I know you guys want to see more informational videos like this. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I love each and every one of you. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.